generally kind of what we understood from the inquiry is that like it had very minimal impact on our general elections. There was, depending on the race, depending on the riding, there was significant impact in the nomination races. But the question that people are generally having is, well, there's been a lot, it's been very, very loud in terms of how much has been going on. And the Liberals are just like, well, there's not really that much going on. And like, it's like, we still have our integrity, and the Conservatives are still driving this point home of like, no, like this is terrible. This election interference. We got to get on top of this. So that kind of leaves us with, where do we go from here? Like what's going to happen? And then the Liberals come out today and saying, we're going to introduce a registry. And I think that's where I direct my questioning right now is, what is this registry? What was this announcement about? This foreign interference registry of sorts. What are the details of this?
So I'm still going through it myself. There was a technical briefing. It's quite a big bill, and like you can't really get through a lot of it in like the 20-25 minutes they give you, but it's based like the foreign interference registry is basically what people have been looking for. If you're doing anything on behalf of a foreign government that would influence any sort of government or public life, or just it's what people were wanting, and you'd have to register. If you failed to do so, you would face $5 million in fines or up to 5 years in prison. It also creates foreign influence as an actual offense that can be like charged, which was one of the big issues with dealing with foreign interference up until now, because what would you actually charge them with? It's a lot of it was very intangible. So this makes it sort of, I think the words they say to engage in, I need to get the specific wording, surreptitious or deceptive conduct to influence a political or governmental process. And when we asked, we can't cite anyone, but like we were told that this would include nomination processes. Right. So the stuff that was suggested in the Han-Dong nomination, where you're hiring buses, and the thing with the buses would be hard to charge for, but the allegations of them providing falsified documentation or threatening their visas if they didn't vote a certain way, that would be a chargeable offense. And you could face up to life in prison for that.
Well, wouldn't it be fraud and extortion, basically? I would think.
Yeah, I get it. Well, it's just the way that I think, again, these are some questions where you'd have to get a lawyer on here, but I guess it's just because that is a good question, but it's more like proving it, and it like you have. So it's creating those sort of things. There's some stuff on making offense for sabotage, which was interesting. So my first thought was like, if you're building like a bomb to blow up some rail line or something, which I assume that would be included. But also one of the suggestions they used were like a USB drive with some malware on it that you've been told to upload, and that would also carry like some very serious like penalties and offenses. So there's that, and then they've expanded how CSIS can share information, how it can like. So I think it can also now share information with non-federal like bodies. So I think that would also include like the Conservative Party. So if they had something that they wanted to alert the Conservatives to, they could now do that without having to go through the federal government and then have the federal government decide what to share. So it's a lot of stuff that people have been calling for. I mean, you'll have to dig through it and listen to a lot smarter people react to this than me. This is my first like brush at it, but it's something. The problem is the timing of it, because just right now, if all goes well, I don't know what the fastest it could get through the legislature, but I think it's like an 18-month delay, and then there'd be implementation. So it's the likelihood of a foreign agents registry being ready for, I think it's October 2024, somewhere in there is when the election would have to be. I would not hold your breath for it to be ready. Miracle, it could happen. I'm not saying it couldn't, but that doesn't seem likely.
So our understanding is be ready for some more fun in the next election.
Oh, yeah, this is a big juicy bill, and there's a lot of fun, shall we say, that both in the House of Commons when they're debating it and specifically a committee that could be had over this.
Right, but do you think this is something, though, that would actually unite the parties, where they both would want this, such that you'd see this be expedited a little bit more than other things, where there would be roadblocks kind of removed because the Conservatives want this and the Liberals are the ones proposing it?
Mm-hmm. I think no surprises here. Maybe it is surprising to you. But the NDP have come out and said that they would support, that they're generally in support of this. I don't think that they have read much more through it than I have. Not to say that they don't have some speedy readers on their staff, but like it's a lot. So that's what I'm saying. First brush, good faith, everyone acting in good faith. I could see the Bloc, the Conservatives supporting it as well. Again, with a lot of these things, devil's in the details and the implementation. And I think the one hang up could be the way that they're setting up the foreign interference registry and the new commissioner that they're proposing that would regulate it. So I've seen enough things where they've proposed some sort of commission with a new independent commissioner, and that gets real messy. So a lot of things could happen, but this seems like the thing that people have wanted.
Right. And that's a positive thing. And what I could see happening, because as you said, you've only had so much time to go through this bill. But as you said, the devil is in the details. I'm curious if at any point there is something that's like, that doesn't, like the Liberals kind of throw something in there.
A carbon tax.
So yeah, I can imagine. That kind of like really kind of throws the alarm bells up for the Conservatives, and they come out and be like, no, we're not for this. And this is 8-10 months down the road. And the Conservatives like, no, we're going to kibosh this here and now.
And that's when you say that is because I was sort of in the mind frame of the Foreign Influence Transparency and Accountability Act, which was what would bring in the registry. But this is also a bit of an omnibus bill because that Foreign Influence and Transparency and Accountability Act is part 4 of 4. So there's 3 other parts to it, and there's amendments to the CSIS Act, Security of Information Act, and the Canada Evidence Act. So there's a lot of things that the Conservatives could probably just reasonably have objections to in there, depending on how they're worded and what kind of powers that they give to CSIS or police and like law enforcement agencies or the government itself. So nothing's sure.
Yeah, right, that makes sense. I just say I could see potentially it could end up being a political play to make the Conservatives look bad before an election as well. Potentially.
Well, I don't know if it could be used as a political play to make the Conservatives look bad. I think the only way that could happen is if the Conservatives do something silly. I think that if they, I was just thinking the way I would see it is it's a reason for the Liberals to say you need to reelect us because we need to get this done.
So that's a question.
Which is a lot of the things. Sorry. Go. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just wondering. This is a gap in my understanding of our political system. But if there is a bill in progress, let's say it's had multiple readings, it's heading towards the Senate, and we have an election, does that bill effectively die with the election, or can that continue on after the election and through?
No, you're right. It would die on the order paper. But I mean, like if they were able to get the legislation through. And they do have different parliamentary procedure tricks that they can use on certain pieces of important legislation to push them through and get them to committee and all that. And there is foreseeably possibly enough time to do that between now and 2 Octobers from now. But if they were able to do that, and it's between when it gets royal assent and implementation, that would be an argument for re-election. But you're right, if it dies on the order of paper, that argument doesn't hold water as much.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess that was mainly my point. I guess when I said earlier is like making the Conservatives look bad. Like I'm just thinking, there is something that they raise alarm bells about, but the Liberals can then, because we've seen this happen already where we see MPs literally lying on Twitter at this point, where there's like, well, Conservatives don't care about protecting our elections. So
I haven't seen that yet.
But I'm not putting it past them. I know you can't say nothing about it. But I'm obviously as someone who's like, I can't say I'm unbiased, but I could see something something like that potentially happening just because of what I've seen on other behaviors with other bills.
Yes.
But like, we'll see what happens. I would like to believe that this is all in good faith. However, after the eruption last week, after where our politics have been at, good faith just seems to be in short supply these days.
Yeah.
So,
well, they need to call up Tim Houston and ask him to tell them to be a little more empathetic.
That's Reg for you, dropping jokes with our guest that has no idea the context of it.
It's for the listeners.
Or is that
man.
from?
It's for the listeners.
No worries. I was wondering. I'm like, did he say that recently? Yeah. Okay. I'll let the listeners enjoy that. No worries.
But awesome. You were gonna say something and then got cut off.
Well, yeah, no, I think it could, like the legislation itself and putting it forward seems like it's in good faith. You can argue about why did it take you so long? Why didn't we have this before? I read some reporting that they were saying that they had this legislative package for a while. So you could argue that maybe the timing is a little bit sketchy, but I think that they are doing it in good faith. It's whether or not they continue to try and get it through in good faith, and the way they argue it is in good faith. Because, I mean, if you say that you've seen liberals already using it to argue that conservatives don't care about protecting elections, when I don't even think the conservatives have reacted to it yet, or at least I haven't got it through in my inbox, I'll believe you, because
So yeah, sorry, I'll clarify. That's not what I was trying to say. I was talking about other issues with other bills in the past, like things that aren't related to this, but like just the way that conservatives have voted on, for example, Jagmeet's using this right now. Conservatives don't care about national pharmacare. They keep voting against it. That's kind of
that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's kind of more so what I mean.
It's definitely something that could happen, or like if the conservatives say, well, we don't like this sort of thing, and we think maybe, or if any sort of delay, or the conservatives aren't willing to move as fast as the liberals want to, could be then jujitsu'd into, oh, well, you're not serious about taking immediate action to protect our elections. So that's the thing that could happen. So that's, though we don't want to impugn anyone's intentions, I am hoping, and I will from here assume good faith, and that's what I always do until proven wrong.
That was electric, wasn't it? Well, we enjoyed it. Hope you did too. If you did, you can check this video out here to the top right corner right near my window. Get over. There it is. There it is right there. And if you liked that, you can also check this one right here. We love you. Have a good one. Peace out.